It was almost midnight. I was sitting on the sofa, my homework scattered across the table, when I heard a soft knock on the door. The rain tapped on the window, making shadows dance across the room. Strange. I hadn't ordered anything tonight. My stomach tightened. I slowly walked to the peephole. A delivery man stood there, holding a pizza box. His face was pale, almost too pale, and his eyes, they didn't seem normal. "Pizza delivery," he said quietly, his voice calm but hollow. I didn't order anything," I said, confused and nervous. He tilted his head. "Maybe someone else did. Or maybe you forgot." Something about him made my skin crawl. Why was he standing in the rain without an umbrella? I stepped back, my heart beating faster. My phone buzzed. It was Mia. "Hey, are you still awake?" she asked. "Yeah, something strange is happening," I whispered. My hand shook as I held the phone. I opened the door a little, just enough to peek. He smiled a smile that felt wrong, too wide, and stepped inside before I could stop him. I froze. "Wait. You can't." "Shoo," he said, placing the box on the floor. "No need to be afraid." The room felt colder. Shadows from the hallway stretched across the walls. I wanted to scream, but my throat was dry. "Are you okay?" Mia's voice came through the phone. I almost dropped it. I think so," I said. My eyes never left the delivery man, who now stood silently, watching me. Something in his gaze made my chest tighten. I felt trapped, and the rain outside sounded louder than ever. I held the phone tightly, my thumb pressed against the call button as if it could protect me. Mia's voice was calm, but I could hear her concern. "Just stay calm. Don't let him see you're scared," she said. I can't move," I whispered. The delivery man didn't say anything. He just stood there, staring at me. His eyes were like dark pools, reflecting the dim light in the hallway. Suddenly, the box shook slightly. My heart jumped. "Did you just touch that?" I asked, my voice trembling. He smiled again. "It's heavy. I carry it carefully." I noticed something strange. The pizza box had no label, no restaurant name. I shivered. A faint creak came from the staircase behind him. I froze, thinking maybe someone else was here. "Is there anyone else?" I asked, my voice barely audible. He shook his head slowly. "No. Just us." Mia's voice rushed into my ears. "Lily, lock the door. Don't open anything." I glanced at the lock, realizing my hands were shaking too much. The delivery man tilted his head again, as if he knew what I was thinking. I swallowed hard. Something inside me screamed to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Then, a whisper came from the box. "You shouldn't have opened the door." I yelped, dropping the phone. Mia screamed on the other end. The delivery man crouched slowly, and for the first time, I noticed the shadows around him were moving, almost alive. I pressed myself against the wall, my back cold against the plaster. My hands shook as I tried to pick up the phone from the floor. Mia's voice was panicked. "Lily, what's happening? Tell me." I don't know. "I think something's not right," I whispered. The delivery man didn't move, but the shadows around him stretched unnaturally across the room. They flickered, like fingers crawling along the walls. My stomach turned. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare. "Why are you here?" I asked, my voice quivering. He tilted his head. "I was invited." My mind raced. I lived alone tonight. I hadn't invited anyone. A loud thump came from the kitchen. My heart jumped. I held my breath, listening. The delivery man stayed calm, as if he expected it. I think someone else is here," I whispered to Mia. She gasped. "Stay in your room. Lock the door. Don't look." I slowly moved toward my bedroom, each step making the wooden floor creak. The delivery man's eyes followed me. I could feel them burning into my back. The phone slipped from my hand again. I bent to pick it up, and the whisper came again, louder this time. "You shouldn't have opened the door." I froze. The shadows shifted closer, moving on their own. moment, then tilted its head, smiling.